Hello everyone, this is Rohit Dashpute, the Faculty of Microbiology from SVKT College. Okay, so in last lecture we have discussed the batch fermentation. Okay, so there are the three types of fermentation process. The first one is batch fermentation, the second one is fed batch fermentation, and the third one is your continuous fermentation. So in last lecture we have discussed the batch fermentation, then the introduction to the batch fermentation, what is the process is there, then the working of your continuous fermentation. So the design of your continuous fermentation, that it includes the number of inlets, the number of outlets, then the working process of your continuous fermentation, how it works, the agitation process, the aeration process, then the different process parameters are there, like your pH, temperature is there, then the advantages and disadvantages of your batch and continuous fermentation process. Okay, so our today's discussion will be on the air microbiology. So in second year of BSc there is a paper 2, that is air, water and soil microbiology. So first we will discussing about the air microbiology. So in today's session we have the nature of air flora. So flora means the number, actually it's a kinds of microorganisms that are present in air. And what is the nature of air, then the transient character of air, okay, we have to discuss. Then the different kinds of microorganisms present in air and the number of microorganisms, then introduction to the air sampling, and then why we have to, what is meant by the air sampling and what is the purpose of doing that particular air sampling. Okay, so let us discuss one by one. So the first one is the microorganisms of the air. So there is no indigenous or native flora. So indigenous is the own or native flora, as the air is everywhere. So there is no kind of native flora or indigenous flora of your air. Okay, so the depending on the location or depending on the atmospheric condition, so there is the difference in microbial flora. So basically the air has no indigenous or native flora. Then the organisms are found temporarily suspended in air and carried out on dust particles or droplets. So the microorganisms are really lightweight particles. Okay, so it's are the particles which is suspended in air and they are carried here and there throughout the dust particles. Okay, the dust particles or droplets, and the air is not sterile. You may see the dust particles, the various sizes particles is there. So the air is not sterile and it does not support the growth of any microorganisms or any organisms. Okay, the air is important for the breathing process, like it contains the oxygen and we evolve the CO2, but air does not contain any nutrient. In case of a nutrient agar, it has the carbohydrate source, nitrogen source, then protein source is there, the various buffers are there. So for the growth and development of the microbial cell, the various nutrients are required, but air does not contain such kinds of nutrients. That's why the air does not support the growth of your microorganism. So generally in case of your particular atmosphere, okay, it consists of a mixture of some permanent gases and variable quantities of water and soluble particles. So the example is the nitrogen, it contains the 78%, then oxygen is 21%. Okay, then the composition shows slight variation with latitude and lesser extent with altitude. So what is the mean of the statement? Say in case of say Mumbai region, okay, it is parallel to the sea level. Okay, that is, so their environment is different. Okay, it has the highest humidity, the temperature is also high. So it contains some different air flora. Like in our Nasik region, the humidity is less, the temperature is under control. So here the different kinds of microflora is there. So the composition of the microflora in air shows the slight variation with latitude and lesser extent with altitude. So it is not the natural environment for growth and reproduction of microorganisms. So the reproduction of microorganism includes the one cell divided to the two cell, means it get the nutrients, it has some DNA synthesis process, replication process, then the difference in their organelles, that is dividation of the certain organelles present in microorganism. But as air does not contains any supportive media, okay, so the air does not contain any supportive media or any nutrients which is useful for the growth of microorganisms. So air is not the natural environment for growth and reproduction of your microorganism. Again, it does not contain necessary and amount of moisture and kinds of nutrients in form utilizable by the bacteria. Okay, here in case of your plant requires the nitrogen, but it cannot utilize the atmospheric nitrogen. So air does not contain the necessary and the number of moisture and the kinds of nutrients in the form which is utilizable by the bacteria. Then the microorganisms are introduced into the air by various sources, like mainly the dust particles is there. Again, the microorganisms are light-weighted particles or light-weighted cells. So it generally carried out through the dust particles, and it contains the dry vegetative cells and dead organic matter. Okay, it contains the dry vegetative cells and dead organic matter. Then again, the species vary depending on locality, but the certain forms are uniformly present, like the microorganism Escherichia coli. So the E. coli is generally found everywhere. So the E. coli species are, or it is the forms which are uniformly present, but certain species which is maybe pathogenic or not, the presence is depending on the particular location, that is your locality. Then the best known example is your Bacillus subtilis, because it is the spore forming and resistant to dryness. Then the Sarcina and Micrococci also found in air. So this is the just examples of certain bacteria which are present in air. Then the number and kinds of microorganisms. So the number of organisms depended upon the activity in environment. Okay, like your garbage is there, or a dumping ground is there, or river is there. So the in one location the number of entities are there. So depending on their location or activity in that environment, there is the difference in number of microorganisms. So it is dependent upon the activity in environment and upon the amount of dust stirred. Then the active environment has higher bacterial count. Okay, like the various peoples are there, the various activities are going on. So it has the higher bacterial count. Then the rich fertile soil, then cultivated soil shows higher viable count than the sandy or clay soil. Means the vegetative propagation is there, it has the highest microbial cell number, and in case of a dry land or the sandy land, the number of microorganisms are usually less. Okay, in case of your viable microorganisms. So there are two types of organisms. The first one is viable microorganisms, and the second one are the VBNC, that is your viable but non-culturable. Okay, in case of VBNC category, these organisms are viable, but it does not able to grow on that particular media. It requires certain another cofactors which is not present. Okay, so that's why they are viable, but generally they are non-culturable. So here we have to distinguish between this viable but non-culturable bacteria. Then it follows air above the fertile soil contains more microorganisms than above the non-fertile soils. Okay, the fertile soil is there, the number of nutrients are there, so the number of microorganisms in the soil will be obviously higher. So that's why the air above the fertile soil is higher than the non-fertile soils. Then the air above bare surfaces contains the more organism than the land covered with vegetation. So the marine air also has some microorganisms, okay, but usually the humidity is greater than the terrestrial environment. That's why the marine air also contains the microorganism, but in lesser extent than the terrestrial environment. So the two scientists, that is Kelly and Lane, in the year 1957, okay, so they just collect the air samples over the Atlantic oceans. So the altitude generally lies within the 8,000 to 9,000 feet. So the number of microorganisms they cultured, okay, after the collected, so they isolated the Achromobacter, the Bacillus species, the Corynebacterium species, and Micrococcus species. So the tropical air shows the generally higher percentage of gram positive rod and the gram positive pleomorphic rods. So the generally in case of the tropical air, it shows the highest percentage of gram positive microorganisms. Then air flora also depends on air current, the humidity, as we discussed earlier in case of Mumbai or in case of your above the sea, okay, above the sea the humidity is larger. So there will be the different concentration or the different amount of bacteria or the kinds of microorganisms are there, or it depends on the air current. So in case of a dry summer, it contains the more organisms than the wet winters. Okay, in case of your sunny season, that is your summer season, it contains the more number of microorganisms than the winters, because in case of winters generally the temperature is very low and the most of the bacteria generally prefers the 30 to 37 degrees Celsius temperature. So that's why in case of your summer season, it contains the more organisms than the wet winters. So generally there are the three forms of discharge. Okay, so generally there are the three forms of discharge which is based on your size and the moisture content. Okay, so generally the droplets includes the mucus, saliva, talking, coughing, and sneezing. Okay, so the droplets includes your mucus, saliva, talking, coughing, and sneezing. In case of your droplet nuclei, generally it lies within the 1 to 4 micrometer diameter distance. Okay, dry solid of a droplet ability to travel the distance. Then the survival limited by the humidity content, the sunlight content, and susceptibility towards the diseases. Okay. Next one is your infectious dust. Okay, so the pathogens in dust are primarily derived from the objects which are contaminated with the infectious secretions that after drying becomes the infectious diseases. Okay, say your example of your house. Suppose your mother is infected with the any bacterial infection or the viral infection. So it is a possibility that the infection from your mother get transmitted to your, like her bed sheet or her pillow. So it may be possible that as the droplet become dry, so it becomes the infectious dust. Okay, as the droplet becomes dry, it becomes the infectious dust. So as in next cycle, if you and your brother or any siblings will sit or lie on that particular bed, so it is possibility that it may get the transfer of disease. So these are the particles which is known as the infectious dust particles. Okay. Then the next is your air sampling. Okay. So why there is need of doing the air sampling? So the first one is, generally the aim of air sampling is to determine the quality of your air. So the verification of ventilation and cleanliness. Okay. The clean the area or clean the air, it contains the less or negligible amount of your microorganism. Then establish the baseline data, means we have to determine the baseline data, means the lowest number of microorganisms should be present in that particular area. Then the post infection evaluation in case of your outbreak investigation. Then rule out the ventilation as a source. Okay, as the infected air or the air with the dust particles, and we know that the microbial cell generally present on into the dust particles, so we have to rule out the ventilation as a source. Then to discover the source of infectious fungi. Okay, if a certain wall contains the fungi infection, okay, in case of your rainy season, the wet wall becomes the infected with fungi. So if we do the air sampling of that particular area, then there is possibility of gaining the fungi. Okay. Then the construction, renovation, repair of certain buildings such as the hospital and like the employee complex. In case of any industry, if the employee of particular area suffers from any infections regularly, so we have to look forward for that employee complaint. So in today's lecture we have discussed about the nature of air flora, the number of microorganisms which are present in air, or the number of kind of microorganisms, then what is air sampling and what should be the air sampling, or what is the purpose of doing the air sampling. Then you have to write down the different microorganisms which is present in air, and also the different methods of air sampling. Okay. So in last lecture or in next lecture we will be discussing about the different methods of air sampling. Okay. Thank you.